chair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Wilfred Brimley for Loafing Dog.
I'm Wilfred Brimley for Loafing Dog. You know, when I get the hankering for a hot dog, I go to Cleveland, Texas. Just a couple blocks off the square, they got Loafing Dog. They got the Neely Dog, the Mary Sunshine Dog, the Casey Dog, and the Shirley Dog. Why, they even got the Pacer Dog, the Brooklyn Dog, and the Jim Dog. Can't forget the Shane Dog, or the Joy Dog, and the Monty Dog. I like that fool. The Nakia Dog and the Braxton Dog round things off. Why, they even got a kids menu too.
Loafing Dog, 208 East Chambers Street, Cleveland, Texas. Lunch, catering, or takeout, plus outdoor seating. Phone numbers 817-556-1040.
This is Wilford Brimley. And don't forget, Loafing Dog won't give you diabetes.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395. If you're trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
Out of deck carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give him a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Angelo Rocha. I am the host of Vet for Vets, a show where we sit down with local Johnson County veterans and discuss their life before, during, and after their military service. I am here today with Bobby Riley, part 2. I guess you can call it, right?
4, whatever it is. I'm sure you guys are getting tired of seeing me on here.
You're good. Oh, it's just me.
Good. Oh, hello, Tiffany. How are you this morning? Oh, excuse me, this evening.
Doing my job here.
Oh,
from
God.
Here, so sorry. Keep talking.
Oh, there you go. Oh, great. So, Bobby, today we're going to have a little sit-down discussion with you about our lives together in the military.
Tiffany.
Our lives together in the military. Okay. So basically, a lot of people have been asking me about me because I've been talking to other veterans and been knowing their story, their life, their ups and downs, things that have happened, but I haven't really told anything about myself. So
Yeah, you guys probably know a lot about me already and Victor when we were in here earlier, but Angelo is just he's in the dark over here. We need to find out about Angelo.
and that's why I have Bobby here today, so he can possibly ask me some questions back regarding our time in the military service. So before we get started, I just want to mention that if you are a veteran who's going through some shit, if you're going through mental issues, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling suicidal, you can call 988. You hear me? 988. Then you press 1 on that phone or wherever you decide to call it from, and you'll be reached out to a professional who will be able to tell you how to get the proper help. That's 988. Look, your life matters. Your life is important. Your life means so much to so many people, and I'm sincere about this. And Bobby will agree that your life does matter.
It absolutely does. I can tell you guys, I'm not ashamed to say this because it's the truth, but in the mid 2010s, there was probably about 5 or 6 years up until a couple of years ago that the first thing I thought of every morning when I woke up was how I was going to kill myself. And then all day long, that's all I thought about was how I was going to kill myself. And then the last thing that went through my mind before I went to bed is, well, I didn't kill myself, but how am I going to kill myself tomorrow? And by the grace of God, I made it through all that. But a lot of you guys might be, upset that the VA isn't treating you the way you need to, or your doctor isn't treating you the way you need to. It's important that you reach out, especially to fellow veterans. Everybody's got that one person that they can call from their unit or that they deployed with, or that they served with or went to boot camp with. And if you don't, there's Angelo, there's the people that have been on this show that I'll set up all night long to talk to you as long as you have that breath the next day and you're still alive.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Anytime anybody needs somebody, you can call me because I'm very personable. I'm easily approachable. Seriously, like you can come up to me and talk to me, and I can talk to you for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, as long as you feel good about yourself as soon as you're done.
A lot of veterans have a hard problem being able to communicate, and they're ashamed that they're suicidal.
Yeah,
there's no shame in that. We've done things and we've seen things. I had 6 combat tours. I served in the Navy for 24 and a half years. The thing is
24 and a half.
Yeah, I was medically retired in April of 2020.
Medically retarded, you said?
Yeah, retarded. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You need to fit the bead. Yeah. So well, Navy's retarded.
Yeah.
Well, not as retarded as the Army.
Right? Ain't really Marines yet.
Marines are crayon eaters.
No. We all bash each other.
Yeah, it's
but we know we
fun.
all love each other.
Yeah.
Deep down, we all know that we're always there for each other's backs. And I've had some issues with what we're talking about. I've had friends who've taken their own life.
I have too.
And it's always usually over two things: financial reasons, i.e., gambling, or they have no money, or 2, women.
It's always
relationship.
Women. It's always
but that's what I've dealt with.
Relationship falls apart, and you don't feel like that there's anywhere you can go, and you're alone and you're isolated, and you grab that bottle of Jack and you just start swigging it down, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, I got a 9mm pistol in my drawer.
Yep.
So then you go and you hold it in your hands and you're drunk off your butt, and you got that 9mm in your hands, and you're just thinking, what is this all worth? Why am I still here? Why did I survive? Why did so and so not survive? And then eventually that service member just says fuck it and puts the gun in their mouth and pulls the trigger, when if they would have just picked up the phone and talked to somebody, we could, that person could have talked them off the ledge, and then everything would have been fine.
Everything would have been
fine.
Not
fine, but we would have been able to have that person survive another day so that we could help them get through their problems.
People that have those thoughts have no idea how much damage they create, for their families, for their loved ones, for their kids. Imagine if you had done what you've done, your children grow up without you. They have their weddings, they have their, good times, they have their babies, but you're no longer around you, and you can't treasure all those moments.
Here's the thing that I always think of is when you're sitting in that moment and you actually put the gun to your mouth or your head or wherever you're going to shoot yourself, or you take that handful of pills and swig it down with a bottle of Jack. The one question that's never going to get answered once you take your last breath is why.
Why you did it?
Why? And so the people that you leave behind is just like you being left behind when that service member, that buddy of yours, got blown up in Iraq or Afghanistan, or he died on a training mission or whatever it may be. But that question will never be answered. And so those people are going to be tormented for the rest of their life. Is why is it that that person could not talk to me and let me help them through this? Why? And it's painful.
And this is why family is important.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about family. Tell us what kind of family you got.
It's dysfunctional. It's as dysfunctional
Like
as
every
any
family.
other military family has
Yeah.
been dysfunctional. I'm divorced. I don't get to see my kids. My ex-wife lives in Midland, Texas. My new wife, though, I met her in Iraq in 2005. She was on with me, Julie, and she's a Navy service veteran. And I'm telling you, it's amazing, especially in a situation where when I have seizures from my traumatic brain injury. I have days where my body hurts so bad I can't get out of bed. There's days where I'm just grumpy and pissed off at everything, and she makes everything better every time. I mean, it brings me to tears right now thinking about it. She's the rock that holds me together because she understands.
She's been there.
Yeah, she may be grumpy and she may be in her office. She works from home. She may be in her office in the front, pissed off working, but the difference is that she understands. She understands what I'm going through. She may not be happy about it at the moment, but that doesn't change how much she loves me or how much she's going to take care of me or how much I love her, take care of her.
I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what
And
you're talking about.
when you're with somebody 24 hours a day, there's going to be fights and arguments, and there's going to be disagreements. But we're both really good at getting our feelings out, whether it's screaming at each other or whether it's just like, hey, this is not worth. But it doesn't change how we are, our marriage, our being together or anything. Sometimes, you just need that one person that you can just call a motherfucker and tell them you hate their guts and scream and yell about work or whatever it may be. And then 5 minutes later, they hug you and tell you it's all going to be good. And then it's fine. There's that one person for everybody, and not everybody has that. And so I can understand why some people feel alone.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So basically where I grew up, my family was very tight knit. We were dysfunctional. Every Christmas, everybody would always fight.
You grew up in some third world country?
It wasn't exactly a third world country.
We're living in a hovel with like 14 families?
Yeah, no. It was more like 14 people in one house. I'm not even joking. Where I grew up in Portugal, everybody lived together. And then one year, my grandfather, it was about early 80s, 1980s. He decided we're going to leave this socialist.
1980s, or he was in 80s?
No. It was 1980s. And we were living in an area where literally the country was a socialist piece of shit of a country.
In Portugal?
In Portugal.
Really?
The government took all the money and they did whatever they did with it. Whatever was happening it wasn't going to the people. It was going to other things. And my grandfather decided it's time to go to the greatest country that he knew of.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
If you're living in a socialist country, how did he get the means and the ability to just pack 14 people in a house up?
It's called hard work and hard work ethic. My uncles, my dad, all worked their ass off, including all my aunts, or
and
however you say,
all together.
and we pulled all the money together. This is when I was just a little child. We're talking about like 7, 8 years old.
And they didn't try to stop you from coming over?
No, it's not that bad of a socialist country.
Okay.
Where the government itself was run like a socialist country, but the country was left open for the people to do whatever they wanted. But
sort of like where we're going in our country.
Yes,
right now.
but what was going on is everybody was struggling. Everybody, including my family, because my grandfather at the time owned something. I don't remember what it was. It was like either an apartment complex or a building, and he wasn't making the money to maintain it. So he decided to come to America.
Really?
Literally the greatest country in the world. And he first migrated with my grandmother and a couple of my uncles and my family members. And my dad was the last one because
so how many came over initially?
Yes, some came over initially to kind of test the waters.
How many of them?
Yeah, I don't remember. It was my uncle George, my uncle Helder, my uncle Rui, my aunt Manuela, and my aunt Lourdes. So yeah, then of course, and a few other from my other side of the family. Through other means, other family members.
Like extended family.
Yes,
over.
Exactly.
And where'd they come in at?
In basically early 80s as well.
No, but where in the United States? Where did they?
We all migrated to the Northeast, i.e. New York City. We all moved to Brooklyn initially, my whole family.
Okay, Brooklyn.
And my family lived there for a few years before we moved there. But what happened was my grandmother got mugged twice, from what I was told, twice within like a week span. Just piece of shit would come up to her and rob her.
Wow.
And this was in Brooklyn. So my grandfather's like, we need to move somewhere where we can get good wages and still be able to live in, in a proper location. So eventually my grandfather and my uncles and my aunts, they all decided to move to New Jersey from New York. So what was going on is the cost of living was cheaper in New Jersey, but they would work in New York. So they would make the high wages of New York City, but they would live in New Jersey for lower, cost of living. And then we were trying to figure out a place to live. So we moved to Newark, New Jersey, which it was at the time the #1 crime city in America.
Newark was
Newark, New Jersey. So we
because of
had
all the mafia stuff.
yeah, all the mafia, a lot of racial stuff involving African Americans, a lot of Jewish people, a lot of
Puerto
Hispanics,
Ricans,
a lot of
yeah.
Puerto Rican. Just everything. It was just a melting pot of violence among different races.
Wow.
And eventually, my grandfather and my family decided we need to move to a town that we can get away from it all, but it's a quaint little town. So eventually, my grandfather heard about this town called Harrison, New Jersey. It's a small little town. Literally, it's 1 square mile. It has a lot of famous people that grew up there. Never heard of it. Everybody moved there but my mom and dad. We were still living in Newark. Eventually, we made our way there, and it was godsend.
Where's it at in the state? Was it like the way
It's
south?
the north, all the way north.
all
Yeah,
the way
it's
north.
basically right across the river.
Okay.
New York City, you take a little ferry, you take a little like 20-minute drive, and you're basically in Harrison, New Jersey. It's
Wow.
that quick. And I grew up there. I started elementary school. When I left Portugal, I spoke zero English. I knew I was only 8 years old at the time.
Well,
I
you
knew-
don't speak good English now.
yeah,
though,
even
so.
now, right? You think about it, at 8 years old, I knew how to speak Portuguese, I knew how to speak French, and I knew how to speak Spanish.
See, and
For an
that's
8-year-old.
amazing. That's amazing.
So then I came to America and I thought, fucking English is the hardest fucking language I've ever learned. I'm not even joking. Like, you have words that make no sense. Everything doesn't
Or
rhyme.
one word means 14 different
Yes,
things.
exactly. And eventually, through watching Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood,
The old ones, the good ones.
yes, all the
yeah.
good ones back in the day. And every time I would watch those shows, I learned the lingo. And then, of course, the one thing that made me learn English was movies. I loved movies.
So did you
Movies
have
too.
to, like, back then you didn't have the option like on computers there where you can just put like
No.
Portuguese subtitles, you know?
No, you had to basically learn whatever. And our family simulated to the United States perfectly. Other than my dad and a few others that still, it's been almost 40 years now and they still can't speak a lick of English. I mean, they speak English, but this not good. And it's
Yeah.
like, you've been in America for, like, me and my dad have had this conversation where I would talk to him and he'd go, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Dad, we're in America. You've been here for 38 fucking years and you still can't speak a lick of English.
damn it.
Speak English. And speaking of that, my father and my sister became American citizens like last year.
What?
Yes.
Really?
My sister and my dad decided to go through. My mom didn't do it yet. She will eventually, but they wanted to be American citizens. And eventually it was like the happiest day of his life. He became an American citizen after spending 38 years in America. And my dad calls me up. He goes, Angelo, he's telling me in Portuguese. He goes, Angelo, I got my American citizenship. I'm so happy. This is the happiest day of my life. I can't believe it. I'm finally, after all these years. And I went, what'd you say? I have no idea. Speak to me in English. You're an American citizen. My dad's like, okay. Then he goes, hey, guess what? I am American citizen now. And I'm like, oh, there you go. That's much better, And
When did you become American citizen?
I became an American citizen? I'm going to tell you a little story. In 2000, before I joined the military, I applied for right after I joined the military, I applied for American
and when was that?
citizenship. Back in 1999 is when I joined the military.
Okay.
I joined the military and I became an American citizen through the military. So I became a dual citizen. And because I was a dual citizen, I was able to become a military police officer in the military, which I did. I became a military police officer. And what happened was they had a little consternation, a little problem with my dual citizenship, because if I was going to be a military police officer to get a certain top secret clearance, to get a certain
you have to
clearance,
be only an American
you have
citizen.
to be only American citizenship. So they were like telling me, you have to give up your Portuguese citizenship. And I'm like, I'm pro-American, but I'm also pro-Portuguese. And they're like, sorry, you can only be a MP if you are just American citizen. So I said no. But of course, right after 9/11 happened,
Yeah.
and I decided to re-up
Mhm.
because I wanted to serve my country that's done so well for my family. I decided to re-enlist again because I thought being in 20 years active duty in the military, I think it's what I could do the least for the country that's done most for my family.
Yeah.
All my family members are thriving, every single one of them, because of the United States of America being the greatest country in the world. And so I decided to give up my Portuguese citizenship. But the
When was
process,
this?
was
Back then?
back in early 2004. I applied for the American citizenship, but they told me something was going on. We had to get deployed, so they deferred my citizenship until 2005. But they approved my citizenship in Iraq while I was serving in Iraq, and I'm like, this is weird. They approved my citizenship, and I'm like, how? And all of a sudden, I get this letter saying there's going to be a ceremony for the United States citizens that would, excuse me, the naturalization. They're
Yeah.
going to be certified, American citizens, but at this big ceremony in this camp called LSA Anaconda, which at
Yep.
the time was Balad was the biggest U.S. base in Iraq, which it's so big. The green zone is like miles and miles, of green zone. All of a sudden, they call us in. There's like 80 of us. We got people from South Africa, Middle East. We got people from all over all over the world that are immigrants in the United States in the military, and all 8 of us from all different armed forces are in this room. 80 of us. All of a sudden, we're told to stand up during this ceremony. All of a sudden, walks in President George W. Bush. All of a sudden, walks in the Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld and the U.S. ambassador for Italy. He's the one that actually signs off the American naturalization
Wow.
paperwork. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe the United States president.
That's crazy.
So all of a sudden, they're on stage. They give their little thing, and George Bush gives his little speech about why it's important to why America is the greatest country in the world. And we go down the line. All of a sudden, they announce my name. I get their certificate from President Bush. I shake his hand, and I'm just like, sir, it's a great meeting you. You're the I'm so glad I finally became an American citizen, and whatever I said to him at the time, he said it out loud and made everybody in the audience laugh because I was so proud,
Yeah.
And then I met Secretary Rumsfeld. Then of course I didn't even know who the Italian prime minister, or excuse me, the American prime minister, or excuse
To
me,
Italy was.
the ambassador
Yeah.
was, but I met him and it was pretty cool. And I just thought that was like the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. The second most important thing that's ever happened to me, and that because my daughter Angelo Rocha, which is, even though she's my only blood child,
Yeah.
I have another child named Mackenzie Tabor, and because when I first got divorced, I couldn't see my daughter as much as I wanted to, so she kind of became. I mean, I love my daughter Daniela to
Yeah.
death, but I just couldn't see her so often.
I understand that, man.
Eventually, I met Summer Ingersoll, who at the time was going through some issues with her ex-husband and stuff, and so we started dating, and I basically became the stepfather to Mackenzie Tabor, and Mackenzie has been with me for the last 10 years, so she's grown.
Yeah, she's a daughter. to
She's
you.
basically my daughter. So every time I introduce people to her, I tell people she's my daughter. She's my second daughter, but and it kind of sucks to admit this, but she's basically become my daughter that I have full time, and it sucks because I can't have my real blood daughter
Yeah.
all the time, even though I love my daughter Daniela to death. And
But you get to see her more now, right?
I do, my daughter is her own woman. Even though she's 17, she's literally her own woman. She is smart. She is very funny. She has a way about her that makes her very grown up. And I know for a fact where she's going in life, it's going to be good.
Good.
And I have a feeling and my daughter is a big supporter of like the LGBT community. She's a big supporter of Black Lives Matter. The things that I'm not really big on, but at the same time, I told her repeatedly that I would love her no matter what. And I tell her all the time, everybody has the right to be miserable with whoever they want to be with, even if it is with another man or with another woman or with a transgender person. Doesn't matter as
Yeah.
long as they're happy. And I told her I would love her no matter what. Even though pretty much everybody she's ever dated has been a guy.
Yeah.
But I get it, and I can't speak any more highly of her because she's so good. Senior year, she was working. She's still working at Whataburger. She's still pretty much doing school full time. And she just recently came off a really bad breakup, and it's been tough on her, but she's been dealing with it because she's got a really good support system through me, my side of the family, her side of the family, my Summer's side of the family.
Yeah.
And she's got a lot of support. So wherever life leads her, we're all going to be there for her.
Well, it's important, like you bring up that whole support system, and I can attest to that. You can attest to that. A lot of people out there don't have that support system. and they're too scared or too ashamed to build that support system, and they need to. They need to reach out to at least one person, because it's amazing how social networking. I'm not talking, social media.
No,
on,
no,
on
no.
a,
I know what you mean.
but social networking. You talk to one person, and they've been through that. So then they've got 10 people that they know that they've been through that, and all of a sudden you've got a group of people that you can talk to, that's able to, you know what I mean? It's like you can reach out to these different people, and you can give them their problems, and they'll keep you on the straight and narrow, and they'll help you through yours.
Yeah. I love people. The type of people I love are people who are honest with you. Like they don't bypass, they know what I mean?
They don't
walk over-
bullshit you.
They don't bullshit you. They tell you exactly how it is. And that's one reason why I love Summer Ingersoll so much.
That's good,
You know,
though.
we've been together 10 years now, even though we've never been in front of a judge and gotten married, but we're common law. But that lady, we've had, like you said, we've had our ups and downs. We argue, but at the same time, when it comes down to it,
At the end of the day, you love her, and she loves
and
you.
I love her. Like I told myself, as a veteran, I told myself, what I want to do is I want to find that lady. Whenever I meet them, she doesn't have to be perfect, and she doesn't have to look like Cindy Crawford or Kathy Ireland or Kate Upton.
Those girls are usually trouble.
Yeah, they're usually trouble too, right? But I told myself I want to be with somebody, regardless of what they look like, somebody who looks at me and tells me that they love me just for who I am. And the same way I love her, the same way I love her, the way I love the way she is.
And the great thing is that everybody has their own taste. So,
Yeah.
If I look at somebody and say, "Oh, why is he with her?
Yeah.
Or why is she with him?" That might be the most gorgeous person to that person that they've ever seen, and she might be the most beautiful thing that guy's ever seen. And we're like, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah.
But everybody's unique, and everybody has their own taste. So there's no reason to judge on who loves who. As long as that person loves you and you love that person, then that's all that matters.
And what we're getting at is me being a veteran, me having somebody like that, like her, has been the most grateful thing, because I'm a big believer that, even though I'm going to go a little bit religious here, I'm a big believer that God doesn't give you the people you want. God gives you the people you need.
Yep.
And I have a feeling that when I first joined Union Pacific Railroad back in 2008.
Tell us the story about how you met her and how long it took, because this is a funny story.
Yeah, well, I started working for Union Pacific because I just got out of the military and I needed a job, and I went to OU for college for mechanical engineering, and I applied for police officer candidates schools all over the place. And none of it, I felt like I was not, that's not where I wanted to be. So I applied for Union Pacific Railroad, even though I had no interest in the railroad, but because I have diesel engine mechanical experience through the military, I figured, why not work on locomotives? It's good pay, good benefits,
job security,
and I couldn't complain. So all of a sudden, first day on my job there, they're showing you around the businesses, and I see this woman moving a locomotive. And she was cute. I mean, she had a Santa Claus button nose, perfect smile, gigantic boobs. I mean, it wasn't what I saw on her, but I just saw this cute little short woman. She's like 5'4". And I just thought, man, she's gorgeous. And but what happened was I got put on another shift. I was on second shift. It was just like 3:30 to 11:30 at night. And I never really got to spend time with her. But I mean, I saw her
when she was on the morning shift.
Yeah,
right?
on the morning shift. So I got to see her a little bit before. And I heard she would tell me about her relationship issues with her husbands, and all the stuff that she's had going on, and her having her child, her 2-year-old. So years pass, and we never really communicated anything to do with dating or anything. But I have found out that she was having issues with this one husband, who was basically a dirtbag. A dirtbag as in taking all her money.
Oh.
So one day, after she got divorced, I asked her, "Hey, how about we go on a date?" And we went on. She's like, "Sure, why not?" So we went on a date, and this was 6 years it took me to finally go on a date with her, and because this was a couple years right after I had gotten divorced as well.
Yeah.
And so we started dating Summer, and something about her was telling me she's gonna be that lady when I'm an old man and I'm on my deathbed. and I'm holding somebody's hand as I'm taking my last breath.
She's going to be the one to hold the pillow over
Yeah,
your face.
she's the one holding the pillow on my face, saying, "Just end already, you son
Quit
of a
breathing.
bitch."
I need your money. Die, motherfucker, die.
No, well, yeah, we're joking around, but it's practically
Yeah.
what she would do. Yeah. And she's probably laughing, thinking, "Yeah, that's exactly what I do." Just
I
fucking
got
end
the
it already.
I got the pillow picked out. It's all ziplocked and fresh, so there'll be no evidence.
Yeah, exactly. So
Because she watches them murder movies, don't she?
yeah, well, and then it's been 10 years now. We've had our ultra highs, as in I've taken her on trips to New Jersey to see the New York City. I've taken her to the Empire State Building, to the World Trade Center. We've done things together. We have a whole fridge full of magnets of all these different hundreds of places we visited.
And
together.
they may not seem like a lot to some people, oh, he's got a fridge of
No.
magnets, but
They don't know. They have no idea.
if you've been there and you've collected these, and then you go open the fridge, and then you can just look at these particular little areas,
Yeah.
just like the military when you're digging through a box
Yeah.
and you pull out a patch
Yeah.
or a name tape or something. Anyway,
Yeah,
we'll pick this up in a
We're
minute.
gonna get back to you in a little bit. This is really good. Well, we'll talk to you guys in a little bit.
At Romika Designs, we're more than just a laser engraving and specialty design company. Much more. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs, and if you can dream it, we can probably make it. We can custom laser cut and engrave on nearly all material. Great for one-of-a-kind gifts, home decor, business and specialty items, or personalized and logoed designs created just for you or your company. Allow us to become your go-to gift and specialty project partner. Romika Designs can help make your ideas a reality. We're ready to help you design and create that special gift for any occasion, or engrave your personal or business logo on just about any product. View our designs at romikadesigns.com or simply email us with your ideas. We specialize in custom design and would be honored to have the opportunity to discuss it with you. Call us at 817-400-4040, email info@romikadesigns.com, or visit us on the web at romikadesigns.com.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Oh, I love this. I love this. Do-do-do-do-do. Sounds like RoboCop. Do-do-do-do-do.
It sounds like we're fixing to go on to the nightly news in
Yeah,
1960 with Dan Rather. This
Hello.
is Dan Rather.
This is 2020. And this is Bobby Riley and Angelo Rocha. 2020.
But it's just the fucking ghetto ass 2020.
If you're joining us just now, tonight might be the night, babe. Whatever that means. Oh, the pillow over my face.
Oh shit! Oh, we already set it in motion.
Comment. We have a comment from Summer. My wifey, my girlfriend, my fiance, whatever you want to call it. We really don't know what we are.
She's your Wookiee to your Ewok.
Yes. And I tell her all the
Summer's
time.
a big Star Wars fan, like the biggest.
Oh, just in case you want to know, me being a veteran and being the host of this show, my wife Summer is the hugest Star Wars fan.
Nerd.
Over the years that we've been together, she would have all these little small things, a small little Yoda trinket, a little small Boba Fett this, a little Darth Vader that, a little Luke
She
Skywalker
has
this.
a whole room in their house
Yes.
full of Star Wars shit. Like
But what happened
everything.
was, all the Star Wars stuff was just strewn out throughout the house, on walls, on against the wall, up
Even
on
the Christmas
in the
tree.
cabinets. Christmas tree is nothing but. And then one year, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna take one of our rooms because we have a 4-bedroom house. We took one of our rooms and turned it into the
Like
Star
the little
Wars room.
office room.
Yes, and we have this really fancy massage chair that's like $6,000 at the time, and we decided to put it in that same room, made it kind of look like Darth Vader a little bit. So it
Yeah.
added to the mystique of the room, and
Well, she
Yeah.
never takes her Darth Vader helmet off, so
every shirt, okay, I can't say every shirt, about 90% of the shirts that she owns has something to do with Star Wars or Mandalorian,
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah.
that. And every single one of them is stained because I don't know if you know. I'm sure you do know. Women with big boobs, technically, they ruin almost all their shirts because every time they eat, they can't reach for their food.
It's
So
called
the
second
sauce,
shelf.
so the sauce just falls on their shirt. Every shirt she owns is ruined. Every single one of them. Not one of them has ever gone without being ruined.
It's so funny because when you text me like on a random day, hey, what are you doing, homie? And I'm like, what are you guys doing? I'm on the couch with some and we're watching an Andor, or we're watching, whatever Disney show, whatever Disney Star Wars show. And I'm like,
She is.
holy shit.
When as a veteran, that's pretty much what you do. When you find that special someone who is the best and worst of you, you pretty much just
Veg out to the best shows.
You just veg out to the best shows. You
enjoy
you
company.
cuddle up to their boob. That's as a male. If you are a male veteran, and if you are a wife listening to this show, and you have a male veteran, I'm going to tell you right now, the secret to keeping them happy is motorboating and just letting him lay on your boobs,
your pillows.
And yes, the pillows. It's something comforting. If you're a veteran male or just a male in general who is hetero, boobs is very comforting. And a lot of
some of these non-hetero guys, they might have a guy with boobs too.
Hey, I've known some gay guys that love boobs. They just love the comforting feeling of boobs, and so
I think it's because we lay in the field and sleep with our heads on rocks.
Yes,
that could be it.
Can you just sleep anywhere? Like every time?
Literally,
my wife hates that. She hates that I can fall asleep anywhere.
Knows the phrase "hurry up and wait."
Yep.
So the longer you're in the military, the more it just dredges out, and you just hear it. And so before deployments or before a training exercise or before we're going out on an actual combat mission or something, and you have your ruck on and your flak and your Kevlar and your NVGs and your weapons and everything. And they're like, okay, we're pushing the step off time 30 minutes back. So then you just sit down, lean against your ruck, pull your Kevlar down, and you just sleep. I mean, literally, it could be 110 degrees outside. You find some shade, you sleep, or it's cold as shit. And you just literally tuck your hands in and just go to sleep. I can sleep almost anywhere.
Yeah. See, and Summer hates that. She hates that I can just fall asleep and start snoring 2 seconds in.
Well, see, the thing is,
with her, if she's asleep, if she hears a needle fall on the rug,
that's Julie.
She'll wake up.
That's Julie.
If she hears a dog 16,000 miles away barking, she'll wake up.
If I roll over in bed, Julie's like, what's going on? What's going on?
Yeah.
If
you turn on your light on your cell phone just to look at something and she even gets a glimmer of that light, she's going to wake up.
Yeah.
If you even sneeze while you're sleeping, she'll wake up.
But Julie has a secret.
What's that? And that's you suffocating her with the pillow.
Oh, no. Okay. She'd suffocate me. She wears an eye mask because she knows that I have like really bad insomnia. So I'll be on my phone going down the rabbit hole all night long.
Yes.
And so no, rabbit hole on the phone.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Brazzers.
No, yeah.
Brazzers.
So
Pornhub.
Oh, I get you now. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. And so she'll put her mask on, but if I move, she's like, "What's going on? What's up?"
Yeah.
She's one of those veterans that can't turn her mind off.
Yeah.
So she has a hard time turning her mind off, and I'm sure that some of you guys out there can understand this, that you think about things and you're constantly, worrying about things or whatever may be going on, and it's hard to turn your mind off. And sometimes you might have to go to the VA. You might have to, I have sleep meds and I have anti-anxiety meds because my anxiety attacks are through the roof, dude.
Yeah.
So sometimes I have to take those just to shut my mind off.
Yeah. So what else do you want to know about me? Or that maybe other people want to know about me?
So how long were you in the service for?
I was in the Army for 10 years, but it's more like 9 years and 8 months. But I tell people 10 because it's technically 10. But yeah.
And where were your duty stations at?
I was stationed in many places. I was boot camp in Fort Knox, Kentucky. I went to AIT in Aberdeen, Maryland, and then also did AIT for the military training in Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri.
Yeah.
I was in Fort Sill. I was in Fort Hood. I went to the National Training Center many times. I went to Yuma, Arizona many times for
I
training.
love Yuma.
Yeah, Yuma's. I loved
I used
Yuma.
to- we
Even
used to
though it's
fly- we
hot,
used to
even though
fly
it's
down
hot
there.
there, man, I loved being there. Because when we were in Yuma, we would work only like 2-3 days a week.
When were you in
And
Yuma?
I was in there twice. One for trying out this new missile called
What year though? What year?
It was like 2001.
Do you remember like
right
there was
before 9/11.
there was a titty bar there, and I
I don't remember. I know what you're talking
so there's
about.
a titty bar called Platinums, and it
Yes.
was like super expensive. But then there's a titty bar where you go and there's dollar lap dances, and we would
No,
always go there because I
no,
was with
no, I
the
don't-
Marine helicopter.
We never got that
Squadron.
lucky. We never got
Yeah.
to go to
Oh, yeah,
those
it
strip
was-
clubs. We heard about them, but no, we didn't get a chance to go.
I don't think it's open anymore, but it
Oh,
was a
no.
lot of fun because there were dollar beers, dollar shots. And
No, there was
dollar lap
there was
dances.
a place called Oasis there, a bar. I don't know if you remember.
No, I
yeah, it
don't
was
remember
a little small little bar called Oasis, which was basically the hangout place for all the military services.
Where was your favorite station? Duty
My
station?
favorite station out of
And
all
why?
of them, I'm probably gonna have to say Fort Sill, Oklahoma, just because that's where I met the mother of my child
Okay.
at the time. And also that was a really good moment because I met a lot of my friends that are friends today because of the field artillery units that I'm friends with now through the field artillery over there in Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Gotcha.
And Fort Sill, Oklahoma has been a lot of stuff has happened over the years, and it's been really great. And when I left, it was I missed it, and I think that's probably the place I missed the most.
What's the worst place you've been stationed?
We were training 2 months in Fort Riley. It was just a lot of mud. A lot of
Okay.
mud, a lot of rain, and I just hated every second of it. It was horrible. It was just the worst experience.
I was
mean,
attached
absolutely.
to an anti-terrorism battalion, and I had to go down to do
Look at
some
you,
work.
anti-terrorist
Yeah,
fighter.
So it was they bracked them a long time ago, like
Yeah.
2013 when I picked up chief. They bracked all the anti-terrorism battalions, but they're basically just above a above grunt, but below like recon.
Yeah.
And because I have the 8427, which is recon corpsman,
Yeah.
they picked me up as I was the LPO there, but we had to go to Fort Polk.
Nice.
Holy shit, that place is
Fort
100
Polk,
degrees,
I heard
100%
it-
humidity.
Yeah, I
It's
heard Fort Polk is
miserable.
pretty miserable.
It's miserable, and
Oh
it's
my
just
gosh.
the mosquitoes are horrendous.
So tell me a little bit more about yourself. What are like your kids? You say you don't get to see them very often. How often do you actually see them?
I haven't
now?
seen my son and my daughter. My son's 12, my daughter's 9. I haven't seen them since July 2 summers ago.
Why is that?
I was married to a really narcissistic ex-wife. Oh, yeah,
Sure.
I'll go grab her.
Yeah, sure. So we have to get our lady friend Tiffany. So a little bit more about me. I was married one time before I was with this lady for 10 years. Her name is Brandy. I was with her for 3 years, and then we got married, and then I was with her for like another 7 maybe. And she was basically a good companion. She was a good companion. Me and her are still civil. We had our fights. There was times where we got angry at each other. There was moments where we wanted to go at each other's throats, but in the end, we just knew that our daughter was priority number one, and our daughter Daniela was literally the one thing that kept us from getting at each other's throats because we knew how special she was.
Yeah.
You know, because in my head, before my daughter was born, I had an idea of what my daughter would look like. So I drew a really beautiful drawing of this girl who I thought my daughter would grow up to be. And it was beautiful. A lot of people complimented the drawing, said, wow, that drawing is amazing. It looks fantastic. And then all of a sudden my daughter's born, and my daughter ends up being more beautiful than the actual drawing.
That's cool.
Whenever I would take her anywhere, they would look at my daughter and they'd go, definitely the mom. Because there's no way it would be you. No way, because I have this weird like beak of a nose.
No,
and
you don't.
And
You're-
I look very Jewish. So
you do look Jewish.
I look very Jewish. I also
you
look,
need the little curls on the thing.
yes, but yeah, with the little curls.
Yeah.
And growing up, I looked very Middle Eastern as well. So
you said when you grow a beard out when you were
I'm
overseas,
not even joking.
they were the Iraqis thought that you were Iraqi.
Whenever I don't shave like 2-3 days, I grow out a really rough beard. And they thought when I was in Iraq, this is a true story. I'm walking around this little town on security, and these Iraqi people thought I was an Iraqi who killed a U.S. soldier and took his uniform. And they would talk to me in Arabic, and I don't know what they were saying, but it was probably something in lines of, "Oh, good job, you did it. Good job, you blended
Way
right
to
in.
infiltrate.
Way to-
Down with America. Allah Akbar. Let's kill them.
But no, then they always, a lot of them thought I was Iraqi, and so then I found out through talking to my grandfather, who sadly passed away a few years ago, and I love my grandfather. My grandfather and my grandmother were the greatest couple, even though they fought all the time, and my grandfather always got drunk by himself. But my grandfather, when I found out he passed, it hurt. My grandmother, when she passed, she was also very close to me. I was super sad, but my grandfather, he was the one that literally told me, taught me all my languages, taught me what it was like to be respectful towards your adults, and I am because of my grandfather and my dad. I mean, I love my dad to death, but my dad was a great example of what not to do on certain occasions, on some of the things that I grew up not doing. And I was very, I guess you could say, square, very flaky, because I didn't want to do drugs. I didn't want to drink. I didn't want to do cigarettes. I didn't want to do drugs. I didn't do any of it growing up.
I
didn't take my first
never
beer.
smoked a cigarette. I've never done a drug. I dip, but that's because I was at the Marines and I can't seem to shake that
I
habit.
didn't even drink my first beer until my 21st birthday. I was in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and we did some field training exercise, and it was my 21st birthday. And my friends literally, they were like, chug, chug, chug. I'm like, I don't drink. They got me to drink through peer pressure to drink my first beer. And I thought it was disgusting. It tasted like piss. But
you never drank anything when you were with us.
But no, I do drink some, like
one beer.
Yeah, I drink one beer. I might, because
peer pressure.
Yeah, peer pressure, and also because I know I know what alcohol can do, and I don't want stuff to happen to you because of my drinking. Wake up pantsless. Wake up pantsless.
That's why I wear
the garter belt,
the gold chastity belt. You're not getting that shit off me. We had a guy.
I'm a great welder. I'll get it off. Torch that damn chip.
We had a guy that one of my deployments in 0506. I got pulled to NMCB 22 because they had no FMF corpsmen. Yeah. FMF or Fleet Marine Force. They're the ones.
I was going to say, what's MFF?
So when you join the Navy, the Marines are a department of the Navy, and so all the medical and chaplain corps come from the Navy onto the Marine side, and you have to go through a special school either in the East Coast or West Coast, Pendleton or Camp Lejeune. And I went through Pendleton. I was a West Coast sailor. But then you go through a 9-week course, and you're with Marines and FMF corpsmen that are training you how to be a Marine, and basically you go Marine regs and wear their uniforms with your patches on it, and your medals. But they had no FMF corpsmen because the Seabees don't rate that. They just rate regular corpsmen. And when you join the Navy, you can either go blue side and not go to FMSS school, or you can get pulled to FMSS school, and then you can go to a hospital, a ship, to the Marines, to the Sea. You can go wherever, but the Seabees usually don't pull FMF corpsmen because they're not rated for it. So they needed a combat veteran FMF corpsman. So they pulled me, and I was a E5 at the time, I think. And we had this guy that he runs the Texas Tech Rodeo, their actual ranch, with all their horses and cows and stuff up in Lubbock, Texas. His name's Rick Rocha, and he's as country Mexican as you can get. The funniest. Nice. Oh, you get
that's
that.
That's how you say my last name in Spanish is Rocha.
But you pronounce it Roca
because it's growing up. I was teased a lot. I'm sure I have some high school classmates who probably watch this video, and they know they used to make fun of me.
Oh, your name's not Roca, you're Rocha.
Rocha. And I would hear that cockroacha. I would hear Rocha. Eventually, when I eventually got to the point where I'm like, you know what? It does rhyme with mocha. Why not go with Roca? So that's my Hollywood star name.
Well,
Roca.
My grandfather came over from Ireland. He came directly over, and and so we were actually O'Reilly from the County Cork, and because he
didn't do auto parts.
No, so he changed the name to Riley from O'Reilly, Oreilley, because it's less likely for him to be what's the word I'm looking for? Discriminated
I know
against.
discriminated. Yeah,
Sorry.
because because
The brain injury causes me to forget things.
Brain injury.
Yeah. Well, Julie's held the pillow over my face enough that where the
so
epoxy has caused me to become retarded.
I think that's what it was. It's just from lack of oxygen all those years.
Yeah, but so what? Rick was over there, and like I said, he's this country Mexican. He's like the Mexican version of John Wayne.
Yeah,
just the coolest guy you ever meet. And get that guy drinking, and he's funny as shit. But he would grow a mustache. And same thing as you, that we would be on a mission somewhere, a convoy or whatever, and we'd stop, and all the Iraqi army guys would come up and be like talking to him, and you know, and
I have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh yeah, way to go, you infiltrated!" And then he would talk back to them because he's like, "What the fuck you talking about?" And they would be like, "Oh, he's American. He's American.
American. Oh.
Yeah,
so I had that issue. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
What'd you think of the Iraqi people, Afghani people, if you got to meet them? What'd you think of them?
So,
do you think they were oppressed by their own dictator, Saddam Hussein?
Yeah. Of course they were. Just like the Ayatollah over there in Iran.
Yeah.
I mean, they're rioting right now over that. But
because a lot of people ask me, it's like, do you think of what Saddam Hussein was doing was right?
No, it wasn't right.
It wasn't,
because we were on missions where we found giant buildings like half buried in the sand, and there was just coffin after coffin of Iranians in there that they would not return from the Iraq-Iran war.
Yeah.
So that whole war has been going on for thousands of years. Yeah. And it's going to go on for thousands of more years.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. That whole area, they just want to decimate each other. But I equate the Iraq people, if any of you guys are history buffs out there and know how the Viet Cong worked in Vietnam, they weren't the NVAs, the North Vietnamese, where they would come down from North Vietnam and fight. They were the South Vietnamese that were sympathetic towards the NVA, and they would be your friend during the day, and they'd make you meals, and then they'd eat with you, and you'd be with their family. And at night they'd put on their black clothes, pull their AK out of the rice bin, and kill you.
That's what the Iraqis did.
That's sort of how the Iraqis, we came across the Iraqis that we thought, oh man, these people are so cool. And then at night on convoys, they would be bombing the shit out of us, IEDing the shit out of us. So I kind of equate that. Whereas the Afghanis were different. There was just warlords that were oppressing their people. And these people just wanted to be out from underneath these warlords, but could not do it. I think a lot of the Iraqis that we came across secretly liked fighting against us and secretly liked supporting that whole Taliban and that whole Al-Qaeda mission.
Yeah. I've come to believe, I think Saddam Hussein,
my opinion.
I think Saddam Hussein acted the way he acted because his people are crazy. His Iraqi population is crazy. So as a dictator, I'm going to be crazier than they are. That's what I think he did what he did, because they're crazy out there. They're literally crazy. I'm not even joking. But they will kill each other over a traffic light. They'll kill each other over a freaking little small piece of land.
I think we can kind of equate this to modern day. So if you look at Putin and you see how absolutely power hungry Putin is, and he's going to do everything he can. I mean, he was poisoning his people running against him for presidency. He never leaves his building. There's like 1 billion guards around him. You can't get to him. Yeah. I think Saddam was, and so is the Ayatollah and a few of these other like people like Hitler, and we could go way back.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't throw the Japanese in there because that's a whole different culture. But maybe we could even equate the power that's in China right now with what's his name? The Chinese president.
The Jinping.
Whatever. Yeah, Jinping. Yeah. Once they get a hold of that power, they don't want to let it go. And Saddam was, I mean, he had gold toilets. He had gold
sinks.
He
went wrong.
I mean, he was just power hungry. His sons drove around in Ferrari
and killed people, and they killed people. They went to random
without
towns,
blinking.
Without even thinking about it. They would just kill people on the street. Remember the movie Schindler's List?
Yep.
The scene where that whatever his name is, Ray Fiennes' character, he just starts sniping regular people off the concentration. Those were his sons. They would do the exact same thing. Not because of the movie. It's because they just wanted to kill their own people to scare them, to make them obedient to his father.
The more you control the sheep, the wolves that are in power get more power.
But imagine the ability. Imagine if somebody like Saddam Hussein, if he actually became a really good leader and actually used his money instead of buying gold toilets and gold pools and gold
If he
everything,
would have
giving it
built
to
the
the pe-
infrastructure
Yes.
and ran electricity
he
and
originally
water
did. He
and
originally did
toilets
that.
and
No,
stuff.
you got to understand. He did that in the 80s. He started rebuilding roads.
Yeah.
He started rebuilding buildings. But then Iran's like, nope. Let's
Yeah.
go ahead and have a war. Boom. Iran war happens.
Iran decimated it.
And then when we got there for the first time in 2003, we were going to Baghdad to take over to do the famous shock and awe.
Yeah.
So we were there.
I was there.
Yeah, I was there before it even happened because we were prepping. And all of a sudden we get there and there's holes and bombs. We're like, wait a minute, we haven't even bombed anything yet. How the hell? What is happening right now? What is happening? And all of a sudden we find out through word of mouth, it's Saddam never paid to have his roads fixed because of the Iran-Iraq war. They had whole military bases that had exploded tanks that we didn't do anything about it. We didn't do that because the Iraq and Iran war did that, but we didn't know.
Yeah.
Because we just assumed that Iran and Iraq were just, hating each other, but we didn't know how bad the war actually was.
Yeah, once it was damaged,
Yes.
he was not doing anything to
repair
fix
it. He didn't do anything.
Yep.
And people hated him for that. And
They were
didn't-
starving and they had no
Yes.
power and they had no running water and they were shitting
Yo,
in the
man,
streets.
whole
and-
towns without electricity.
Yep.
They had the electricity 20, 30 years before Saddam did what he did with the
When
first
we were
Iraq
in
war.
there at the beginning of the war, there
No
was towns
electricity.
with no electricity.
But of course, the military, we went in there. We put an infrastructure in place that added lights. We added schools. We added recreation centers. We added hospitals.
But how many
the
times,
media never
Yeah.
tells. They never tells anybody about that.
but how
ever.
many times did we set up that and then some insurgent immediately
Yep.
turn around and blow the transformer or blow the generator
Oh
or
my gosh!
or poison the water or whatever it may be.
Yep.
So they were constantly sabotaging themselves because they hate everybody.
Dude, Bobby, there was one time when I was there the first time. There was a town. I don't remember the name of this little town, but they built a whole elementary school. For literally hundreds and hundreds of Iraqi children finally had an elementary school to go to. And the first day it opened, they closed it off so nobody can get inside. But these Iraqi insurgents, for no effing reason, grabbed some grenades and they threw it over the wall, killed a bunch of school children. We were called. We go to the inside, and man, I've never seen. At the time, I hadn't seen dead children before. I've always seen adults, dead through movies and stuff, but I've never actually seen children in real life. There was something that stuck out in my head when me and my friends walked in there. My battle buddies walked in there. And we saw this father holding a bloodied child's jacket in his chest, just rocking back and forth on his knees. And then of course we realized one of the children that died was his child, and his whole face was covered in blood, just crying, snot bubbles. His blood snot from his child was just blowing out of his nose because he was so angry about this. And we had nothing to do with it. We built the school, and just some Iraqi insurgents just thought because we did something nice to them, they just threw some grenades. And I don't even know if they ever caught those guys.
Probably
It
not.
was
I mean,
probably-
they might have
They
died
threw
later,
grenades over
but
the
they
wall,
probably
and
didn't catch them.
and I just thought, what if some child? What if it was your child?
Yeah,
That first day of school, and all of a sudden a grenade or two gets thrown over the wall.
And what do you do with all that hate? Because
Yeah.
you can't go against the insurgents because
Yeah.
they'll just kill the rest of your
Yeah.
family. So you turn that hate towards the Americans
I
because the
believe 5
Americans
children died.
build that school.
I believe 5 children died, and then it was like 17 injured. But the thing is, the media never talked about the school. They talked about the explosion and the children dying because that's what the media wants. They don't talk about the amount of hours people like myself or people like you spent to repair that school, to make it, to add electricity,
And
to add
that's
the
just
lights.
one school. That's
And
not
that-
the whole
no.
infrastructure we
Oh
put
my
in
God.
throughout there.
Dude, I remember there was this little town in northeast Iraq called Konakin. It's a mix of Turkish and Iraqi. It's like
Yeah.
a mix of both. And
It's a Kurdish town.
yeah, it's a Kurdish town. Yeah, it's a mix of both. And I remember when we did the infrastructure and added lighting systems and actual power to their homes, I remember they were celebrating at night by shooting into the air. And we thought we were getting ambushed in our little area, our little rec center
Yeah.
that we were cordoning
But
off.
they were
We-
happy.
Yeah, they were happy. We didn't know they were happy. We just thought they were attacking us but all of a sudden we realized they were happy that they finally got electricity that was on 24/7, not only on for 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
Which that's what they did. Well, most socialist countries do that. They cut off electricity a certain amount of hours per day to save money and whatever bullshit excuse
Yeah.
they come up with.
It's funny that
it's to keep people from watching the news.
It's
That's all
funny
it
that,
is.
you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, 'cause, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people. So, you know, you asked me about the Iraqi people a little town northwest, right by the Syrian border, like 12 clicks from the Syrian border, called AQ Al Qaim. It's a little train station town that was turned into like a military area. So this, when I was there in 0506, the Seabees that were stationed there were tasked, and NCB 22, they were tasked with building a giant, like, I don't even remember how many Southwest Asia huts, SWA huts, that were these wooden, huts that you could sleep like 20 people per, 10 people on each side.
Yeah.
And then there was like styrofoam in the walls, and they were all plywood, and they were like, and they built burnout toilets and everything. And there was 100 of them or more. And, for this Iraqi army that was wearing our uniforms, driving our Humvees, using our weapons that pulled in, they were there for 5 days. They ripped up all the plywood off the walls. They pulled the styrofoam down. They burned like 3 of them down. They shit all over the styrofoam.
Well,
we're gonna have to meet again, because we got a lot of stories.
Man, time goes by so quickly.
We need 2 hours.
Hey, just so you know, your wife messaged you and said, "Who's that sexy man?"
Hey, it's me, baby. Come to Butthead.
Thank you for listening, everybody. This is Angelo Rocha, and this is Vet for Vets. Tune in next week. Thank you so much.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
Hey, travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight.